morning, everyone. My name is Kristian Sorenson, as you just heard. First, a brief good news. It is actually still fun working in banking. So I have a few examples of that, despite all the many gloomy presentations we've had. I'm wearing two caps today. I'm, of course, the organization that paid my salary, Nykredit, and also the organization that asked me to be here today, the Mobey Forum. So I will be, first of all, giving a brief background on both of these. I will tell a little about who we are, why we are doing what we're doing, and how we're doing it. And just a little disclaimer, I'm not a banker, so if I use any of your fancy terms in the wrong way, please bear with me. I fell into banking some 10 years ago, so I can dress like a banker, I can almost act like one, but I'm really not a banker. Well, first of all, the Mobey Forum has existed since 2010. Currently, we represent more than 25% of bank customers in the world through our bank members. We have financial institutions as full members of the Mobey Forum. It's very bank-driven, but we also have a lot of associate members. It's a member-driven community, the Mobey Forum. It's a non-profit organization. It's a place where we can meet and discuss current trends and technologies. And the ones that are paying my salary, Nykredit Denmark, you might not have heard about us. We are a big player in a small country. We have 1 in 5 Danes as our customers, so we have quite a reach. We have 160 years of history. But that doesn't mean that we are old in any ways. At least that's not what we are trying to see ourselves. Fortunately, that is also the general opinion from our customers, from the general public. We have been awarded being the best web bank, or providing the best web bank in Denmark 2 years running, and also been acclaimed as the most digital business of any types of businesses in Denmark. So that was a brief background. So let's talk about mobile financial services. Why doing it in the first place? First of all, the numbers, they do look good. It is definitely promising. All the projections look good. Already what we see today is that the uptake, people are really using these new technologies. And the projections are for significant growth. It's definitely very positive projections. They're all positives, have various degrees of positivity, projecting between 500 million up to more than 1 billion users by 2015. We can also see when we ask bankers, will this change the game? 70% of us strongly agree or just agree with this, and I, for one, is definitely among these 70% that claims that this will, in fact, change the way we do things. But looking at statistics like this, and looking at the enthusiasm and the level of enthusiasm with myself and with my colleagues in my own organization and other organizations working with this area, I cannot help but looking back in 1997 when we saw a similar enthusiasm about this new thing called the internet. I think IBM at that point, they grasped the spirit pretty good with a commercial that I heard. Oh, there should be a video in between these two slides. Okay, is there any technicians? Okay, then I'll tell a little about that. Some of you might remember it. It was a video about the hype. You see two gentlemen in an office. In 1997, I saw it as a young guy and an old guy. Now I see it as a very young guy and a normal guy. They were discussing. The young guy was sitting with his laptop, quite huge one actually, and then this older guy, he was reading some reports, and then all of a sudden it says here that the internet is the future of business. We have to be on the internet. And then the young guy looks up from his computer and says, why? And the elderly guy looks down on his papers, quiet for a while, doesn't say. And I think that pretty much grasped the hype of the time. Because obviously the older guy was right. you have to be on the internet. You should be on the internet. But we shouldn't just hurl ourselves to it without thinking about why we should be there. So asking the why is basically the strategic proposition for making any decision. And I would argue that it's the same thing with mobile financial services. Making the strategic choice is not just saying that we want to be there, we have to be there. It is, of course, to find out where does this fit into what you do in the first place. Where does that fit into to the other channels in which you engage with your customers? Yesterday, several times there was mentioned about multi-channel strategy, and that was something that you should start looking into. We formulated our multi-channel strategy in 1997 and have stuck to it ever since. New channels have come, but that has really changed the strategic purpose of having a multi-channel strategy and the main points that are listed here of having a multi-channel strategy. The challenge is, of course, to fit a new channel into the existing one. It's not about replacing existing channels, and it's not about pushing our customers towards a given channel. It's about giving our customers the choice. So in practice, that meant that we have been launching a series of initiatives over the years. Of course, we've been have online banking, as I've already mentioned, very popular. The Danish market, being said, is very affluent in terms of using online financial services. More than 71% of the Danish population, of the adult Danish population, do their banking online. So in order for us to distinguish ourselves in such an affluent market, we have to add more than just online transactional banking. So we have launched a series of interactive calculators where people can play with the calculations. We've launched some interactive advisory services that actually it is recorded advice, but it's based on your particular financial situation. So based on your account statement, you get various sorts of advice. Then we also launched what we called the web desk, and we did that in January 2007. That allowed for our customers to have an online meeting with our financial advisors using their webcams. And not only could they talk and discuss with their advisors, this piece of software that we launched also allowed the advisor, if the customer accepted it, of course, to take over the control of the user's screen. So the advisor could help the customer fill in a loan application or help the customer play with a balance sheet or something like that. And that also earned us quite a lot of press and the EFMA Online Award in 2008. So next step, of course, for us was to go mobile. We of course saw this as obvious, and although in the beginning we were also caught by we have to be on the mobile. So the first app we launched that shortly after the iPhone with geo capacity on it. Pretty simple standalone application that allowed people to find the nearest ATM in Denmark. That being said, the app works perfectly fine here and tells me that there's 715 kilometers to the nearest ATM in Esbjerg. So it's maybe not very useful right now. As we heard from the guy from Lloyd yesterday talking about augmented reality, that was also something we implemented with that. I don't know if it's possible for you to click on the demo of either one of these. Could you click this? I mean, I might be tapping this one, but it's not really a touchscreen here. Yeah. So you have the typical list of the ATMs. If you click the green button, you can see it on a map. But if you could you click this one instead? Yeah, there's some call Nykredit and everything. And the fun thing was this: you start your camera, and then moving around in town, you can see the ATMs. This is the icon for the Danish national debit card scheme, and of course finding the nearest Nykredit branch. So you could walk around with your phone, pointing, looking silly, but that would bring you to the nearest ATM. Once again, is this very useful? What's the business case in this? Maybe not that big, but it was fun, and it was very well received by our customers and gave us a lot of press. So, see if I can get back to the next slide. Yeah. Next up, we came with something that wasn't intended for fun situations, because it was intended for when you had a car accident. It can be used by any motorist in Denmark. You fill in, before the accident, you fill in all your insurance information, and then if you are in an accident, you can use this app to guide you through the steps of making sure they get all the right information, all the right documentation for submitting a standardized accident report. And once again, it doesn't only apply to Nykredit customers, it applies to anyone in Denmark that is willing to use such a thing. And once again, maybe this is not fun, but at least it's helpful, and a friend in need is a friend indeed. Our third app, finally we start to interact a little more with our customers. We launched this saving advice application where people could submit their ideas for cost cutting. We did that many years ago. Now perhaps it's time for relaunching it. And people, we generated basically a community. And once again, it was not just for Nykredit customers. Anybody could suggest anything and vote for ideas, saving advice from others. Perhaps we should launch a bank or a state version of that on austerity measures and give thumbs up to cutting something. But still, once again, what's the strategic purpose? What's the ROI? What's the business case of all this? I will get back to that. Then the fourth app was real financial services. We started integrating fully into our systems, into our back-end systems, allowing people to do calculations based on the same calculators that they would use if they went online or they would use if they entered a branch. Of course, the layout and the input was much simpler than they would see online or in a branch, but nevertheless, it's the same back-end. So this was basically for us to, in IT, to make sure that we could integrate the mobile channel into our existing infrastructure. So next step was the full integration, launching an internet bank. First of all, it was a basic, very rudimentary functionality. You could do, you could basically see your account statements, which for some reason I still don't understand is the most popular thing to do in a bank. I mean, for me, I would rather enjoy spending the money than looking back at why did I spend them, but on how did I spend them. But nevertheless, it's very popular. We chose, unlike many of our competitors, we chose to do it ourselves, exactly because we wanted this as an integrated part of our infrastructure. This was not an add-on. It shouldn't be an appendix to our infrastructure. This should be part of what we're doing, especially because, as we also heard Ashley from Lloyd yesterday pointing out, that you need IT to be prepared for the for the unknown. And I think that was very wise words, because back in the 1990s we were talking about future-proof technology, and I for one would say no, there's no such thing as future-proof technology, but there is trying to be prepared for the unknown. So make a flexible foundation and work on that, rather than try to kid yourself and believe that what you do now is future-proof. So just to sum up, this is not to conclude, just to sum up so far. The lessons learned was that we basically took what we already did and launched it in the mobile channel, but looking at what a mobile channel really could do. So not all things work equally well in all channels. Yesterday we heard one of the sales pitch about write once, run everywhere. It's another thing that I thoroughly do not believe in. I believe that each channel should be treated as an individual when it comes to implementation, not in terms of strategy. Of course, find out what is the value proposition to the customer. Ask yourself the why. Why should we do this? And find out what you really want to do. And especially when starting out, the business case, you cannot look at it from an isolated perspective. None of these apps that I've shown you so far is selling anything. But it's creating the customer loyalty and the customer satisfaction. And we are one of the most popular bank in Denmark. And even though the banking market is under pressure, we see our market share growing. So it is possible to make the strategic business case for servicing our customers in all ways that they would like to be served. But, of course, it doesn't stop here. So, as an example of taking online functionality and making a mobile version of it, we launched last year, we launched our personal finance management tool, the spending overview, where you had the pie charts showing you how you spent your money. And frankly, when we launched that, we were surprised. We had a good feeling about it. We were pretty proud of what we'd done. But we, from day one, actually from the very morning it was launched into production, we were some people up very early, just making sure that everything was working. And so we're sitting there at 5 o'clock in the morning, when the first email ticks in from a customer that tells us, well, it's my birthday today, and I couldn't have wished for anything better than this. Besides for the sad fact that we actually have a customer that sits in his web bank at 5 o'clock in the morning, it was, of course, something that was quite positive. And throughout the rest of the day and the days that followed, we received well over 1,000 unsolicited reactions. We didn't go out asking for what do you feel about it. It was emails, it was comments on our blogs, etc. And people, they basically loved this. So working in banks, you all know we're not that used to thank you letters. So this was this success with launching this kind of tool. It made us think about how do we really do the best possible customer interaction. And now I'm curious to see if there's a video here. Now, there should have been a video just showing you this how it works online. But the main point is that you get these pie charts of how you spend your money. You can click on various slices of the pie chart and drill down into different categories, into different shops, etc., etc. You can choose the period and how long time you want to see how your spendings have been done, etc., etc. And all these facts and figures that we gather on behalf of the customer is not visible to the bank. It's only being presented to the customer themselves. They can choose actively to share it with their financial advisor if they want to discuss how they spend their money, but we are not looking over the shoulder of our customers and how they're spending their money. That's a very important detail there. So how do we do this? How do we take this success and bring it to the mobile channel? What we did was, of course, we did launch some of the same kind of functionality with a pie chart. You could drill down. We also have the traditional account statement. But, I mean, an account statement, that's a bunch of information. It doesn't really give the overview that we would like to provide our customers. Whereas the pie charts, for instance, they do give the overview over whatever period you choose. We also have the comparison, how much have you spent on, say, let's say, groceries compared to the same period last year, and et cetera, et cetera. We had some of the media in Denmark, they called this, for the first time, business intelligence for the private customer. And that was basically what we did. And one thing also, that once you have your overview and you tilt the phone, you're presented with this graph showing you your balance. And all these little dots, they're the transactions, either positive or negative, either money going in or out of your account. And you can squeeze to zoom, as you know, from interacting with your phone. And once again, this is useful information, but it's still fun. And that's something that the customers really react to. So we've been doing this for a while, and I was doing a presentation about this in Frankfurt, where there also was some people from a research group on mobile financial services that I hadn't heard about at the University of Augsburg. And they were kind enough to point out that what we've been doing also works in theory. So They had documentation, scientific documentation with lots of graphs and looked very impressive, even also for bankers, not just non-bankers as myself, that what drives people towards this new medium and this new channel is the use is driven by the perceived usefulness. That makes sense. I mean, we can understand that. But what drives the perceived usefulness is actually the perceived enjoyment. So the more fun tools like these are, the more useful they are considered to be, and the more likely people are to use them. So it is okay to make it fun, and that's the good news. We can still have fun in banking. That's very positive. Engage your customers. Ask them what they want. We also many years ago launched blogging, where we have some of our intelligent colleagues writing interesting things, both from a macroeconomic perspective to discussing functionality in our systems. And we have a very interactive dialogue with the customers. The customers are they can add suggestions to what should we implement, what kind of new functionality should we add. They can vote for the ideas of others, and then we'll try to implement the most voted for ideas. But don't stop there. I mean, it's the good old Henry Ford quote about asking people and they want a faster horse. We should give them more than the faster horse. We should also challenge them. And once again, that's add to the fun of my job, that we allow to challenge our customers. So it is a dynamic field, seeking inspiration from others. And as pointed out yesterday, do not just benchmark yourself against the other banks. Talk to people from other industries. And through a place like Mobey Forum, it's at least for us, been a very positive experience engaging in qualified dialogue with players surrounding this. I couldn't help but today I was asked to talk about mobile banking and not mobile payments. This was mainly said about mobile payments, but I still think that the quote was so good that I had to use it. There are some Rabobank people here. I'm sure they know who that person is. So a place like Mobey Forum, we try to gather the industry to discuss these things, but in order not just to make it a coffee club, we have certain deliveries. We launched a series of white papers just recently. There was launched a very big white paper on business models for NFC payments, and related to the discussions we've had yesterday, I would recommend reading that. It's available free of charge at the Mobey Forum website, mobeyforum.org. So recommended reading for anyone looking at NFC. Right now, the focus and the hype, even within the hyped mobile financial services, there's sub-hypes, if you can call it that. And one of the current hypes is definitely mobile wallets. Everybody's talking about, we need to have a mobile wallet. We are trying to find out what is a mobile wallet. We just 2 days ago launched the first white paper in a series on mobile wallets, trying to define and qualify the discussions surrounding mobile wallets. Next issue will be about control points in mobile wallets. So the focus for the Mobey Forum is mobile wallet security, and also engaging in partnerships. We've just been approached by the European Payment Council to help them out, dare I say so, with coming to terms in what is a mobile wallet, and is there any way they can, I think they would like a SEPA mobile wallet, but let's see if we can give them that. And we're also working with the hardware manufacturer standardization boards, Trusted Computing Group, to name one.